Welcome, everyone, to It Tastes Different Gaming Podcast, the podcast with four different flavors coming from four different gamers. I am your host, Nick Irwin, and I want to welcome my co-hosts, Shane Eisterhold, Patrick Smith, and Russell Rowe. Hey, Patrick, where can they find us?
Well, the first place you should check out is our website at ittastes.different.com. This is the place where you can subscribe to all of our streams and connect to all of our social media sites. You can also find us on Facebook at It Tastes Different. We're also on Instagram at It Tastes Different PC. And then last but not least is Twitter, where you can find us at It Tastes Diff.
What's for dessert? We crush the hard candy with mobile gaming. Mobile gaming is horrible. For me, especially, to give my 2 cents into mobile gaming, in this cast we're going to talk about mobile gaming and just kind of the different aspects of mobile gaming and, the types of games that are out there and various things along the lines of mobile gaming. For me, I loathe mobile gaming. There's probably only one game, and I can't even remember what game it was, that I played for probably... It was a mobile game that I played for I probably had it installed on my phone for 2 or 3 days. And it was one of those, consistent mobile games where you have to buy or grind out points to get, whatever it is, to get items in order to construct a sentry gun or whatever type of game you're playing. I hate mobile gaming. I can only it does not keep my interest. I've downloaded mobile games on my phone several times, and I just can't. I can never seem. I feel like I want to use my phone for other things and not, what a phone's used for instead of gaming. I don't care to play mobile games at all. I've never found one that's really kept my interest for a long period of time. I guess, in a sense, the only type of mobile game that I have, that I typically buy, if I'm going to buy a mobile game, and that I can sit there and play for, almost to completion, or if not to completion, is those single player mobile games. When they, and those are the ones I'm talking about, where they bring out the classic retro games, like they'll put Final Fantasy on there on the mobile, or Chrono Trigger, or Dragon Quest or something like that, and then I'll buy one of those and play that game on my phone. I remember buying Final Fantasy, the original Final Fantasy, and I beat it on my phone. And then I bought the original Dragon Quest game, and I beat it on my phone. And those are simple, easy games in there. They all are purchased. You do have to purchase those. So unlike the free games that they have out on mobile gaming, those are ones that you do have to purchase, but they are just the actual game, right? They're just made for a phone, so you can control them and use them with a phone. But it's basically the same original game. And those being that they were on the Nintendo originally, those games are typically pretty short. They're not super, super long, so you can finish them relatively quickly. A few hours here and there playing through them. And plus, being that you're on mobile, you can save them wherever, so you don't have to necessarily find save points or anything. You just kind of save them on the fly, which helps, right? But as far as mobile gaming goes for me, that's about the extent of what I play for mobile gaming. Other than that, I feel like it's an industry that's just, it's there just to take your money. That's really all it is. They give you a game that you have to spend money to do this, that, or the other. It doesn't matter what it is. If you want to fast track yourself, or you want to play the game regularly, in a sense, without being so slowed down that it's just a mindless task of everyday tapping on buttons to get just a little bit of something, to eventually, 6 months down the line, eventually be able to buy that one character or whatever it is in the game. That's just not for me. That just bores me and takes too much time, and I'd rather not play it. So I'm not a big fan of mobile gaming. I wish mobile gaming would really just go away. I don't like mobile gaming. I hate that they take franchises that we know and love, like Command and Conquer. They announced a new Command and Conquer. This was a while back at one of the E3s or something, or one of the EA E3 things, and they announced Command and Conquer and showed it off, and it ended up being a mobile game, and that was really disappointing. And I played it. I played it for a little bit when it came out, and it was okay, but I'm not going to spend my time and money and resources on playing it. So I'd rather have a full-featured PC version of a Command and Conquer. They're doing the same thing with Diablo. They are coming out with the Diablo 4, but they have a Diablo Immortal, which is a mobile game. Right now, I don't think it's out yet. I think it's getting close to alpha or something like that. But they've had some hands-on, which people seem to really like it. But they feel like they wish it was on PC and not mobile. So, clearly companies make these games because they're big profit. They make a lot of money. That's really the only reason. And that's the reason why they're going to continue, is because people keep downloading and spending cash in these games. And so these companies are going to continue to take the franchises we know and love and port them, or make, they're going to come out with we got a new version of this. So it's like, oh, awesome. And it's a mobile game. And everyone goes, oh. So I don't think we're going to see the end of that. I think that's going to continue on, and I almost feel like mobile gaming is going to continue to flourish, unfortunately. It's an industry that's taken off and doesn't seem to be going anywhere but up. So that's my initial take on it. Patrick, what's your thoughts of mobile gaming?
So I'm kind of in the same boat as you are. I don't do a whole lot of mobile gaming. I will say that I have done some. I have tried, all kinds of mobile games to try to get into some stuff. A lot of my friends play the real popular mobile games. I just can't get into it. I've tried so many of them. The games that I often find myself getting into that's mobile is more like the time waster games. Like I'm, sitting in the lobby, waiting for a doctor's appointment, or I'm just waiting for an appointment of something, and I'll pull out something stupid. Like I'm trying to even think of what the last thing I've played is. Usually like some kind of wordscape game where I'm just doing this simple little task so I can bypass the time to go wait for my doctor's appointment, or waiting in the car for the girlfriend, or something stupid. Because I'm the same way. I would prefer to play my console or my computer, anything other than on my mobile phone. I don't find looking at the tiny screen of a mobile phone. And when I say tiny, I have a Note, which is a big screen, so it's not that tiny. But I'm just not a mobile game fan. I mean, I own a Switch, which is considered a mobile platform to some extent because you can play with the Joy Cons. But that thing never leaves my system undocked. It's always docked to my TV, and I play it with the Joy Cons remote, or any elite, or the Pro controller. So I'm not a fan of mobile gaming. What I play is time waster stuff. I have plenty of friends who play a lot of those games and who spend real dollars on it. What I will say, though, is I don't think it's going away anytime soon as well, because from what I read is in the gaming industry, 51% of all games that are played are mobile games, which means that 20 and the other 50% is broken up, 25% console and 24% PC. That's insane when you think about that. 51% of all games, mobile count for all games played. So mobile games now account for 51% of global revenue for the gaming industry. That is, and just so this information I got from Infographic a while back. So to put into perspective, in 2019, the global gaming market was $151.9 billion, and 51% of that was mobile gaming. So I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon, just like Nick said, but I wish it would. I wish it would go away. Because I'm tired of, when you're on Facebook or something, seeing these ads for these games that aren't the real games that they're advertising to. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. I mean, because every time you see this game, you're like, oh, that looks really cool. I want to pull these pins and do these little puzzles, and you get the game and you play like 10 to 15 minutes of it, and you're like, where's the game I saw in the ad? So then I get irritated and I uninstall it. And, I can't believe that the games are allowed to do this and stuff like that. Like the most mainstream game that I've ever played on my mobile is probably Fallout Shelter, and then Summoner's War. But I played those because a friend of mine was like, hey, you should check out Summoner's War. And I played it for a little while and got bored with it because I wasn't willing to spend real world currency on the game so that I could progress faster or get further in the game. So I wasn't willing to do any of that. So now you'll see most of the time I play just these stupid little puzzle games as time waster. If I'm sitting waiting on a call to start or something, I'll play a little 5-minute quick thing there, waiting for a call to start or something for a meeting. Or if I'm, like I said, anywhere, I'm just playing these stupid small games. So I'm not a good person to ask this stuff with because I just don't play it. I'm not interested in it because I don't want to spend real world money on a mobile game. And when I'm talking mobile, I'm talking cell phone. I'm not talking like I'm not talking. And see, this part of this too is I'm just checking the statistics and stuff. When they say mobile gaming though, and like infographic where I pulled some of my statistics from, do they mean when they say in mobile gaming? Do they mean like are they talking like the DS?
They're not talking Switch, I don't believe.
I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out where they got some of their statistics from because that seems extremely high. I don't know what about you guys, but 51% of the gaming industry's money came from mobile gaming. Does that mean mobile phones? I mean, I don't know if that does mean that or not, as I couldn't really, when I was digging through my statistics, trying to find out if that meant, mobile gaming as in Switch and like DS and stuff like that, because I can understand that then because Nintendo's a big, especially amongst kids. I mean, everybody who's got kids that is a gamer pretty much I know has a Switch because it's got a lot of kid-friendly games and all that kind of stuff. So that would make a little bit more sense if it was lumped into that, but I don't know because I couldn't really find where they were getting that from. But I mean, I could see it. I can see it because I know friends who play Summoners War that's probably spent hundreds of dollars on that game, whereas I don't even spend $100 on a game on the console or computer. I spend $60 on it, and I'm not a big DLC person. If I am, I've spent that $100 over the course of 2 or 3 years once the DLC came out, so, but I know plenty of people who play these games, and they'll spend, I know a buddy who spends at least $50 a month on one mobile game, and he justifies that it's his game he plays. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't spend that. I may spend that on like, if I buy one game a month, yeah, but he's also not a gamer like I am. So, but he spends $50 a month on a mobile game at least. And there's people that you play games with that you've noticed they spent hundreds, if not $1,000. And I'm just like, $1,000 on a mobile game? No, thank you. Russ, what do you think about the mobile gaming industry? Are you a big fan? Do you play mobile games?
I can't say that I'm a big fan, but I also can't say that I'm like a hater. But I have, okay. All right, let's see here. How do I put this very delicately for our PG-13 audience?
They're good for pooping.
Exactly. That's exactly what I have my games for. It's the New World newspaper, whereas people will get up in the morning and get their newspaper and sit on the pot and take care of business. I got like 2 games. I've got this little bubble popping game, and I've got basically, if anybody remembers the old 1942 game, it's a version of that on the mobile app that I play. But I jokingly aside, I have played 2 moderately major titles, and I played them for a few months until I realized that I really couldn't do anything more unless I bought something. And that's what got me. And that was Galaxy of Heroes, I believe it is, the Star Wars
the Star
mobile
Wars
game, and then the Star Trek Commander, I think it is, or Fleet Commander, I think it is what it's called. Those 2 games there, when those guys came out, excuse me, as I go from 12 to 17. Those 2 games there, I did play quite a bit of those 2 games, and I enjoyed it until I realized, well, crap, I really can't get to that quote-unquote next level unless I put in, $50+. Like, I put like $10 into both of those games, and I realized, wait a minute, that didn't get me crap. I'm like, so luckily I was smart enough during the process not to fall into the trap. And I think that's where my distaste for mobile gaming comes. I mean, if they wanted to say do like let's say those 2 games, let's say they do a one-time transaction of $25 or something like that, and then I can play that game and continue to level up and continue to do that without absolutely, I mean, you would have to play those games every day, all the time, for them to even to really see any fruit that you're bearing within the game. Games like Candy Crush, and stuff like that, Angry Birds, those kind of mobile games, those are always time killers. I mean, those all have passed through my phone as, depending on the time frame, just because, like Patrick said earlier, I'm waiting on an appointment. I'm at the DMV. I'm waiting on a call to start. Yeah, or taking a poop. I mean, whatever the case is, they might spend a couple of 3 weeks. Some of them are enjoyable. I mean, when Angry Birds first came out, I mean, it was fun. I'm tossing a bird at other birds and pigs and, just having a great time with it. But, but, but I am a realist in the fact of like knowing if you want to have the quote unquote full effect of the game, you're going to have to spend $50 to $100 easily. And it's just not that great. Plus, I mean, the difference between a handheld game and a game on a gaming PC or even an Xbox One or Xbox Series X or PlayStation 4 or 5, whatever the case is, there's no competing because the platform is much more powerful than what you hold in your hand with the cell phone. Even though cell phones have become very great technological, whatever things nowadays, it's still they still have that detriment to them that they won't ever be. It won't ever be for me what PC and what console gaming is. So I mean that's how I feel about it. So just to kind of like sum it up, it's not like I hate them, but I definitely can have hate for them because they really are the snake oil of gaming. If you guys want to know what the equivalency of a snake oil salesman was back in the early 1900s, that is mobile gaming. And with that, Shane, how about you? Other than taking a poop, what else you got?
They're pretty much that's it. They're good for pooping. I played Candy Crush, off and on. I'll re-download it, play it. It's enjoyable for the bathroom, for the office, sitting around waiting for something. That's the only time that I ever touch a cell game. The whole industry of cell phone games is so wrought with just fraud, for one. Because like you were saying, Pat, you see that game on Facebook. Oh, that looks cool. You go download it. That is not the game that they advertise, period. I mean, it's just not. And the easiest way to know when a game is full of crap is when they freaking tell you only 98%, only 2% of people can actually beat this game. That's when oh, yeah, there's some bull crap there. I won't touch a game that says any of that garbage because it's all lies.
Or the game that shows the person doing the most simplistic task, but it says push left and they push right, and you're just like,
yeah.
Can you not read? Maybe that's the problem. I look at those games and they just frustrate me to no end. It's like I really just want to take the controls away and do it myself, but I'm like, it's just that's how they're sucking you in.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like, what do you have to do to get people to understand it? That little video should show you how dumb people are to buy those types of games. It's push left. Okay, I push left. Now what? That's it. That's the game. Like the pull the pin one you were talking about. Now those look like those could be fun. Look like it could have some strategy. Look like it could be interesting. They're not. They're just
because they don't exist. Those games don't exist.
No, I did find one. And
oh wow, yeah, I never found one.
Yep, it was. I can't even think of the name of it. I had it for about 14 seconds, and that's including the download speed. So it was worthless.
Yeah, I will say that most of the time when you find something that's halfway decent, the problem is that there's an ad every 15 seconds, and then at that point I get frustrated and uninstall it. Which I don't know if you guys have the same experience, but I'll find something because, like I said, I do time killers like Sudoku. I do a lot of those. That's my pooping game, Sudoku. Or something like that on the phone. Just something to challenge my mind while I'm in there because I don't want to be in there too long because my butt will fall asleep and I won't be able to get off the toilet. So that's
embarrassing. Been there.
So I'm there with you, Shane. I the ads get me, and then it's like, well, you can buy the game without ads for $5, and you're like, do I like this $5 worth? And I paid the $5 for Sudoku because that's what I play most, and I'm like, then why do I have to see on the ads? But that's how these companies are making their money, and that's probably how they're getting the big of a market share as they're getting because I don't know. Think about it. If you play any of these mobile games that you don't have to buy stuff in, or that you can buy stuff but you can continue without buying stuff, they're showing you an ad every minute or two. So you're basically being bombarded with ads every time you complete a level or something.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole setup of mobile is a money grab. I mean, you have games like Angry Birds. Now, Angry Birds honestly is a solid little fun game. It truly is. It's a good way to keep your mind occupied when you're in the middle of God knows what. And but even that has turned into I need money, and
Well,
that's
they show you
heartbreaking.
they show you like an ad between each level unless you pay for the app.
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah,
they
they've
fund
gotten
their
bad
ads.
about it. And Candy Crush. I've seen people like getting divorced and crap because a husband is dropping, what, $2 every freaking hour on it because they couldn't get past a level. And that's an enjoyable game. But if I can't get past a level, I just delete it, wait a month or two, turn it back on, and then they're so happy to see me. They gave me a bunch of free crap to guess what? Help me pass the level. So
That's funny.
that's all I want.
That's funny. I've noticed that happens too. Like I still have Summoner's War installed on my phone because my friends play it, and every now and then they're like, "Hey, you should play with us or whatever," and I'll play it, but I'll get to a point where I can't progress any further if I don't want to spend any real life money. And the same thing happens. I'll turn the app back on, and next thing I know, hey, we haven't seen you in 3 months. Have a free gift on us, And you're like, okay, thanks, guys. Still not getting any of my money.
Yeah. None for you.
I
But it
don't
seems
have
like
one single mobile game on my phone.
wow. What do you do while you're pooping, Nick?
Look at
Pornhub.
Facebook and Reddit. Reddit is my mobile gaming.
I
That's
do
what
read a lot of Reddit too. I will admit that.
Yeah, I have to agree. I've been getting into it because of all the crap you send, Nick, and now I get alerts. Hey, this posted. Okay, that's funny and gross. I'm sending it to the guys.
Yeah. I mean, we're probably in the minority then, I would say, if like this infograph and this information that I'm finding is truly all just mobile, and because I don't know if they consider when they're talking about this stuff, a mobile game, a mobile, if they're talking about a true mobile, or if they're talking like if they're talking like a PlayStation or not, God, I can't even speak, but like a PSP or a Switch or anything
something.
like that, yeah. So
Well, you got to think of the ratio between like hardcore gamers, like we all are,
That's true.
compared to casual gamers. There's way more casual gamers than there are hardcore. You would
Oh, yeah.
ask most casual gamers about half the games we play, and they wouldn't even know they existed. Compared to like you ask them about Candy Crush or Summer's War or what's that one that a lot of people play, that strategy game. I can't remember what it's called. That's a big one too, big mobile game. Clash of Clans, that's it.
Okay, yeah, yep. I know plenty of people who play
Yes.
Clash of Clans.
Oh yeah.
Clash of
Clash of
Cans.
That's what you're going to be living in if you keep spending all your money on that.
Well,
That's
was it? That game like that, like a Clash of Clans and those games like that. That kind of reminds me of like that one game Albion or whatever it was that we played for a little bit. I mean, it was like, but you have to pay for some of those things, and we're also taking out a whole other market of and it, trying to make sure I'm very polite to demographics, but you have older generations that find, that Yahtzee game or like a Price is Right game or something like that where, they get duped into maybe, buying a little bit of extra here and there. And even if they're only spending 10 to 15 bucks a month, I mean, that's just like us, spending 10 or 15 bucks on an MMO. I mean, it's not the same because I think we're getting our money's worth with a $10 to $15 MMO versus, Price is Right or Clash of Clans or something. But again,
I mean,
if you have a million people spending $10 a month, that's $10 million a year. That's $10 a month. $10 million a month,
Yep.
and 120 million a year. So
And you
Well,
literally just described Game Pass. Everybody asks, well, how's Game Pass, how do they make money on these games? They charge that monthly fee, and there's what, 14 million Game Pass subscribers? It's the same with phones.
right.
Well,
But
they
I would
are,
say
but the
I would
games
almost
on Game Pass
argue
are better.
Russ's point though against
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Because I would honestly say that if that person paying $15 a month for their mobile game is getting more out of it because let's face it, when I was in the office, because right now I'm working remote due to COVID. When I was in the office, even people on my own team, you could walk around the office and see them playing a mobile game during the day. All day they're playing a mobile game. So they're playing the game. A perfect example is Summoner's War. I will give you a perfect example. Summoner's War is kind of somewhat of a passive game, whereas the game plays while it's up, but you're not doing anything. So it's one of those clicker style games where they don't have to actually play it, but they're playing it all day at home, all night when they're all day at work, all night when they're at home. So they're probably putting more time into that game than we would put into an MMO.
That's true. I mean, you got a point there.
But are they spending more money for that, or is it one of those that you can
say they
kind of
spend
play
more.
like that because you have to wait for it all to get to process its next level or whatever it is?
Yeah, I think that they can probably spend $15 to $20 a month and get the same kind of play. But I'm just saying, but even if they didn't, let's say that they were spending $100 a month on this game. If you consider what we spend on games, I guess that's comparable. If you consider like an average month for us is at least one game, which we know that's way underestimated. One game, and then one month subscription to Game Pass. So it's $15 plus $60. So we're already at $75. And if we're being honest and truthful for ourselves, it's more like 2 to 4 games a month that we're buying. So we're on average probably spending, we do game share and stuff like that. So each of us, we spread the wealth out. But if we weren't doing game share, we're looking at spending probably $200 each a month in gaming. Wouldn't you think?
Oh, yeah. Easily.
Yeah, but I feel like we're getting more for our money, right?
But
how do you say more? How do you say more though? I mean, what do you mean by more? Because I think that the mobile gamers are putting more time in than we are.
Well, yeah, that's because that mobile is with you everywhere. I mean, everywhere.
Exactly.
So when you're at work, you want to go take a dump, you're taking your phone with you. I mean, that's not to be gross or egregious, but that's a sad fact.
Don't ever ask to borrow Shane's phone.
No, or the Switch, just so you know.
It's been there too.
But that was going to be another point. My Switch, I don't undock. I mean, I've tried playing it when I first got it undocked, but that's it. I don't want to play on that little screen, and it looks great on my big TV, and I want to play it on my big TV. That's it. I don't want that little screen experience. I don't watch movies on my phone. I'll watch like a YouTube video or something like that. That's 5-10 minutes long, but I'm not going to sit and put a bunch of time into my cell phone.
Right.
I mean, in that capacity.
I will say that I even used to travel for work. Me and Nick both did, and I still couldn't watch a movie on my phone. I still couldn't play a game on my phone very often because it gets annoying with the small screen. I don't know if Nick, your experience was different when traveling and stuff like that, but I just couldn't watch movies on my phone. And I've had a note. I even had a note while traveling, and I just couldn't get into watching movies on that little screen or playing games on there for very long. Nick, could you kind of do that, or did you feel kind of the same way?
Not typically, but I did when we traveled one time. I did watch the entire first 2 seasons of Attack on Titan on my phone. Because I really wanted to watch it.
That is Attack on Titan, so it's okay.
Yeah, I would lay in bed in the motel room and watch it. But it typically, in most cases, I won't do that. Even when I traveled, I typically would take another laptop with me, or even the work laptop. I'd have a external hard drive where I would download and install a bunch of games to it, and then play those. While I was in the motel room.
Yep, I would do the same thing. Bring my own laptop, or I had that hard drive with Windows 10 Portable loaded on it, so I could boot into it and play
Yep.
games while I was on site. So,
Yep. Exactly.
yeah, I would say I don't see. I mean, I guess I do, because in all honesty, Russ made a good point about who play. This and Nick both made a good point about who plays it. I mean, in my household, I'm a pretty big gamer. But my kid's somewhat of a big gamer, but my kid plays mobile games all the time. Like, she's always playing Minecraft on her phone, or any type of mobile game on her phone, and the girlfriend's always got some mobile game going on. And Nick, I imagine it's probably the same in your house. Your girlfriend plays a lot of mobile games when she's
No, she
no?
doesn't. She doesn't
Oh, okay.
play much of any mobile games. But my son doesn't, but my daughter does. She's got a tablet, and so she downloads a ton of mobile games on her tablet and plays them all day long.
Yeah, my kid does too. Russ, how about your daughter? She play a lot of mobile games, you think?
No, actually, Isabella is not much of a mobile gamer. She's a social media person. Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, a little bit there. She likes to watch TikTok videos, kind of like that generation does. But when it comes to mobile gaming, I think, like, trying to think about the one game, like Words with Friends, was that what it was called, or whatever
Yeah.
it was? I think she
That
got
was a
like,
yeah.
popular one.
I think she even still plays that one today, but again, that's a game where you don't have to spend any money. You can play a game with your friend over a week of time, and you know what? There's one big mobile game that I have completely forgotten about, and I have to say that I have spent probably $300 on this game over the last few years. And Patrick is probably dawning on Patrick right now. And that's Pokemon Go.
Oh,
I played the crap out of that when that first came out. So, I don't know if that makes me hypocritical in the discussion, but that it's a mobile game, and
Augmented reality game.
yeah, it is. And I played the crap out of that one. I was really into that one. The Harry Potter one came out. I tried that for maybe a week or two, and it was just not the same because I wanted to catch them all. And even now, I still have Pokemon. I forget. I completely forgot about it. I don't know, about once every week, I'll pop it open real quick and see what Pokemon are around, and maybe I'll catch one, maybe I won't. But that was definitely a big one. And Bella played that one quite a bit too, when it first came out, the first couple of years that it was out. So,
Yep.
yeah.
I forgot about that one. I have that one installed still too. I've never uninstalled it.
I have not and will not play Pokemon Go. My boy loves it. I have no inkling of giving a craps for Pokemon Go. But that's just me. I don't even understand Pokemon because it's, let's capture things and force them to fight. That I don't get it. I don't get the
Sounds
the
like to
passion
me
for
like a
it.
good weekend. Um,
Yeah, Nick did. I think, yeah. When I would travel for work, I would do a little Pokemon Go. I think I maybe have only spent $30 on the game total since it's out. I didn't spend a lot. I didn't play as much as Russ did by a long shot. But that was a big thing for Russ when you were living down in Texarkana. I know
Yeah, I
you
think
would
it
go out
came
all the
out
time.
Bella's senior year, 2016 or so. I think is when it came out, and heck, every night we would go downtown and walk in the evenings. And Bella came before I moved to Springfield. Isabella, we came up here for a couple of college visits, and both college visits, I think we went and walked and got gelato and played
Yep.
Pokemon Go those nights. So that definitely was a big one. And then I don't know that anybody will remember this one, but I do remember Megu. That one came out. I mean, I think that was on BlackBerry. So if that dates anything, it's like, and the ex-wife and Bella played the heck out of that. It was like Tamagotchi for mobile gaming. You like evolved. I mean, it was like Tamagotchi and Pokemon all in one. It was a Japanese game, but I think Rhonda spent like $20 a month on that game for a solid 8 or 9 months. So
Well, and you got to think about it. Just because you're not spending money on a mobile game doesn't mean they're not making money off of you. I mean, if
Oh,
you're playing
yeah.
a mobile game and you see an ad, they just made money off of you. I don't know what their percentage of return is. Maybe it's a nickel every time you see an ad, for all I know. But a nickel's still a lot. If you play a game for an hour, if you see an ad every 2 minutes, they just made, what is that, 2 times 5, 20. Basically, every 2 minutes, you basically made a nickel off of you. So,
Sure.
30 times 2, they made, 60 cents off of you. And if they got a million people playing that, do the math. So then you
Sounds
have
like the game sounds like Digimon.
Digimon.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all
Digimon.
that kind of like in that guile of those kind of games, and this one here was massive. Actually, it was. I think they had like 6,000 variations. You could build your little house thingy. I mean, it was insane. They would. I mean, I would lose them for a day. It was like. I mean, that was some of the best WoW gaming I think me and Patrick had because they would be in there playing the mobile game for hours on end.
Right. And, I mean, I've played my fair share. I'm like, I just get to the point where I get tired of the ads or I don't want to spend the money. Because everybody remember playing Ingress back in the day? The mobile game where you
No.
tried to take over areas. It was an AR simulated type game called Ingress. They even made an anime about it,
Yeah,
animation thing. Yeah,
yeah.
but it was the same thing as Pokemon Go. You would be a part of a group and you would try to take over an area by making intersecting lines and stuff like that. But I mean, I will say that I don't spend money on these, but they do make money off of me because I play them and they got ads. And
Yeah.
I currently have a I'm trying to remember. Let's see what the name of this game is that I currently have. It's called Wordscapes, and basically it's just like
Yeah.
they give you a random set of letters and you make words out of them. And I do that while I'm waiting for a meeting to start, or I'm using the bathroom, or at nighttime I'm trying to wind down before bedtime or something like that. So that's what I do, but I don't spend real world money on it. I will tell you that for Pokemon Go, I did sign up for Google Rewards just for that game, so that the money that I was earning through the rewards and surveys is what I would spend on that money on that. So I am very animate about spending my own money on a mobile game, and I don't know why, because I spend money on video games, but I have a real big problem with spending real world currency on a mobile game.
Yeah, I
I
feel
don't
like
blame
with
you.
mobile games, I don't know. So, kind of going back for just a minute before I make my point, I played a ton of Pokemon Go. I really like that game. I didn't spend any money though on it, so I never bought anything. I played it, and that's typically the case for me with a lot of mobile games. Like I'll play them, but if they ask me to spend money, I'm not going
Really?
to. There might be a few games that I have spent money on mobile game wise, and it's the same as what Patrick said. I use my Google rewards money that I get from that from filling out the surveys and stuff. If you guys don't know about that, and you do play mobile games or anything mobile wise, and you have an Android, download Google Rewards. You fill out surveys, you get free money, and you can spend that money on anything on the Google Store. So,
I earn
with that,
enough to watch a movie or two every weekend.
for sure, yeah.
Renting. It's.
I have
I wish,
$17 on Google Play.
I have like 12 right now on mine, yeah, because
Yeah.
I haven't done
I've-
anything with it.
Yeah, I
I
haven't
blew
either.
like
but-
25 last weekend on it because of Christmas. I watched me and the kids had a horror movie marathon.
I will say though, the way that it works is the more places you go, the more surveys you get, because they send you surveys about what your shopping habits are or your spending habits. So if it notices that you stop at a gas station 3 times a week, you may get a survey about something like that. Or if you go to Walmart 5 times in a week, they're gonna be like, "I noticed you went to Walmart,"
And
Or-
just lie.
Or sometimes
do.
it'll
Yeah.
even give you random surveys. It'll be like,
Yeah.
"Did you go here?" You're like, "No."
No. Have you-
But
are you
if you
searching
fill
for
it
this?
out as if you did go there, you'll get more money than if you say, "No, I didn't go anywhere."
Did you just
Yes.
Google genital warts cream?
Well, Nick,
No.
you better watch that out because they tell you don't lie on the survey. So we didn't hear that.
Yeah. Well, I usually don't. I usually say, "No, I didn't go there," just because I'm like, I don't want.
I think you can get,
I
like,
don't
a
want to
minimum-
answer questions to
Right,
things
yeah.
that I don't know anything answers to.
and you get a minimum of like 10 cents. So even
Yeah.
if you get those questions where you just say, "Did you look this up?" and you say no, I've gotten 20 cents just for saying no before.
Oh,
you know?
sure.
It's a random amount. I've gotten as much as like $1.
Yeah,
answering.
me too. I have almost. I think almost $1 worth.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
like
think I've ever
99
gotten $1,
cents.
but yeah, like up there.
I think
like
I've got
ransom
86 cents has been my high.
Yeah.
But I'm
But
not
that
going to
stuff adds,
scoff
but
at
that
86
stuff adds
cents.
up. That's
It
the thing.
does.
That
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
adds up, and it adds up quick.
Yep.
I mean, you'll
We
have
do.
money, and you'll do a few surveys for a few months, like a couple, 2 or 3 months. You'll have enough money to buy any game or movie or whatever that you want on Google Play.
Yep. And that's what I use it for. That I don't spend any of my money, but I spend the Google rewards on it because there's nothing else to spend it on. I do rent movies with it, or if I happen to be playing a game and it's like $2 or something, I may do it. But for the most part, I just use it for movies because I don't usually spend any money on mobile gaming at all.
Right. Yeah. And going back to we were even further, we were talking about Words with Friends. Now that one I did play quite a bit. I know me and Shane did a lot of Words with Friends for several
Yeah.
months back in the day. But that, again, like Russ said, that's not a game that you had to spend money on. That was a game that you could just play. And I don't even know if they had anything you could spend money on with that game. Maybe
No,
they
it was
did.
all ad driven. I think it was all ad driven.
I think
Yeah.
that's right.
So, and there wasn't that many ads in it either, so it was an easy game to play. It wasn't like you make a word and then they show you an ad. It was like every so often they'd pop an ad on. And that was kind of like the early. That game also came out towards the early, mobile gaming scene. That with like Farmville. When that game first came out, it had very few ads and very few things that you had to purchase, so you could pretty much build up your farm how you wanted to without really spending a dime. I know when Farmville 2 came out, that was like you had to spend money just to grow crops. I mean, that's how heavy-handed that game was with spending money. But yeah, I feel like kind of going back to what we were talking about with like mobile gaming and gaming on console or PC. And I said that I think you get your money's worth. And it was brought up that why do you think that? And I think that is because even though for us as hardcore gamers, we might buy a $60 game and play it for 2 hours, right? There has been cases of that, where we've done that. So you wouldn't say, okay, you've got your money's worth there. But if you were to purchase a $60 game, in most cases, not every game, but in most games, you're going to get your $60 worth, and you're not going to have advertisements. You're going to get this fully fleshed out system, story, characters, whatever the game is, and you're going to feel satisfied in the end. Where I feel like mobile gaming, it's completely nickeling and diming you. You spend money, yes, for something, but that one thing that you get it's like breadcrumbs, right? They just sprinkle a little bit of seasoning on top of the steak that you're trying to devour, and you want more seasoning. But if you want more, you're gonna have to spend more money for that second piece to throw the seasoning on there. And that's how I feel like with mobile gaming is it just tries to nickel and dime you for every portion of the game that you want to play. Whereas console gaming and PC gaming, it's like if you buy the game, now DLCs and stuff, yeah, I guess you could throw that into the mix.
Loot boxes.
Well,
and
I was
all
gonna say,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
they do loot boxes,
Or loot
which is
boxes.
the same thing.
Right, and loot boxes are, the thing about, and unfortunately, mobile gaming didn't have this, but with console gaming, loot boxes did have a pushback, and that has changed. It's not 100% turnaround, but it has changed a lot of the ways that companies approach things, because companies started to approach things like mobile gaming on console, and they got a lot of pushback from the gaming community that hurt them. And
Right.
that's where they said, "Oh, we better reverse this."
Well, but they didn't really get rid of loot. I mean, they got rid of loot boxes, the random chance stuff, but all they did was just basically replace them with a plethora of things that you can just buy outright.
Right. Well, FIFA's the bad. FIFA is.
Oh, yeah.
That's a
You want
horrible culprit for that type of stuff.
Well, I mean, is it FIFA? Who makes FIFA? Is that EA?
Yeah.
Well, of course it's EA.
I mean, we already know. But I mean, yeah. I mean, but you think about any game that's like that, that's got an extended play, they have this. And I'm talking about anything. So, talk about like loot shooters and stuff like that. When you think of like Destiny, you can buy the currency to buy the cool little emotes or the cool gear or the cool overlay for the gear. It's all cosmetic stuff, but it's still a detriment to the game. But that's a different podcast for a different episode there. But it's in my opinion, they're kind of akin to the same. You're buying, like you said, I like the term breadcrumb or seasoning. It would be like going to going to Roadhouse and getting the biscuits without the butter, right? That's just
Butter's
Right.
extra.
we're
Watch your
gonna
mouth.
charge you $1 for this butter.
Right, it's
cup.
like getting a plate of fries, and you're like, you want ketchup? That'll be $5. And it was like, what?
The fries are free, but the ketchup's $5.
Right? Or you want salt on those fries?
That's my biggest thing is with mobile gaming is I spend, and maybe it's because I look at it this way. I spend enough on regular gaming that I just can't see spending my money on mobile gaming because I feel the same way as you do, Nick. I agree with you 100%. But I know that there's people that spend less on gaming, but still spend like $100 a month or $50 a month on a mobile game because they're playing that mobile game and that's all they play. But I also know gamer friends who do both. They spend the money on the physical games, the games for consoles and PC, and then they turn around and spend, $30 a month on a mobile game or something like that. But I'm definitely in the same boat you are. I don't spend my real money on a mobile game. I will only spend stuff on Google Rewards, and I don't spend very much of that. I spend most of my Google Rewards on movies to rent and watch.
Yeah, for sure.
Russ, do you do the Google Rewards too?
As y'all were talking about that, this is not the first time I've heard you talk about that, and I'm like, surveys? Where the heck do they get these surveys from? Like, so
It's fantastic. Nick
It's
got
an
me
app.
hooked on
Yeah,
it.
it's like Google Rewards app.
okay, so I'm gonna look up that, but like for me, I was looking at mine. I was like, okay, I have play points, and I get play points because I run all my subscriptions through. I like to have all my subscriptions in one spot, so I run them through Google, and then I get these play points. And then I look at the play points. I'm like, well, crap, I could just spend those on other apps. I'm like, that's worthless. What are they talking about? And so I'm gonna have to probably look that up, and I may lose a weekend doing Google Rewards for some free movies.
It's like random. Like I said, the more places you go, it's
they
really,
send you a
really hurting
survey.
me for working from home. I will
Yeah,
say because I don't get
That's
to
what
go
I was
to-
going to say. When I worked from home last week, I didn't get squat.
Yeah. But if you travel a lot, or if you not really necessarily travel, but if you just go around Springfield,
Just go to the store.
Go to the store, go to Walmart or gas station or whatever, you're bound to get a survey when you come back. And you might get 2 or 3, and you'll get various amounts of money for filling out these surveys. And the surveys don't take very long. They're like
a minute or two at most.
Yeah, at most. And so you fill them out real quick, and they just put it to your Google account, and they'll give you like 10, 50, 60 cents per survey that you fill out. And then after a while of filling them out, you look at your account, you're like, oh my gosh, I got like $15 sitting here.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, cool, I'm going to buy a movie tonight. And you buy a movie, and then, shoot, who knows? It might send you a survey and say, like, how do you think of that movie? And then they give you another 50 cents or something.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, you got a whole bunch of Google Play cash where you can just spend anything on the store. So yeah, that's the one thing I play.
That's the one thing I do too. Google Rewards. It's called Google Opinion Rewards, and yeah, Russ, you should look it up on the Play Store. I have $8.40 on there. I forgot I rented a movie over Christmas with it, so I don't have $12 anymore.
But you know what? You'll get that back quicker than you can think. It's
yeah.
Oh wow.
I mean, I
$3 or $4
remember
when
one
I'll get it
time
back.
I had like $20 worth of Google Reward cash, give or take, and I spent like almost all of it on something. I can't remember what it was. And yeah, in like no time at all, I had pretty much all that money back. I was already back up to like $15 or something like that in no time.
So, yeah. So definitely worth trying out. If you guys don't use it, definitely use Google Rewards. It pays for itself. Definitely. I mean, because even if it takes you 30 seconds to do a survey and they give you 10 cents, I'm sorry, 10 cents was worth 30 seconds of your time. It took you no time. But that's the only way that I spend any money on mobile games is that. And that is, I don't spend much on mobile games. We're probably, the group of us, as much as we don't want to admit, we probably play more mobile games than we led on to believe. We don't spend money on it, but we still contribute to that overall income of mobile games, which means we're contributing to the increase in mobile gaming in the market, because just by playing a mobile game that has ads, which is any free mobile game out there, you are contributing to their market share. And if you want to get rid of the ads, the only way you can do that is by paying for like the full version or the pro version of the game, which is usually like $3 to $5, depending on the game. So they're getting their money some way or another. And, let's just say that their game is $5 to remove the ads. I guarantee you that if you played a game for like a weekend, they made the $5 off of you regardless. So,
Oh,
you know,
easily.
Right.
you
Yeah,
know,
and
so
one that Shane mentioned was Angry Birds. I love Angry Birds.
yeah.
Like, or I mean, it was either Shane or Russ that mentioned it, but I love Angry Birds. Angry Birds, the first one, and even the second one, I played the crap out of those. So yeah, I mean, that's one game that, I mean, it's, but the thing about Angry Birds is that's mindless fun. I mean, just throwing birds at and watching all the things topple down. So, if Angry Birds, and it might be in this case where Angry Birds had a thing where like, hey, get rid of all the ads for $5, I probably would have because I just liked that game in general. I thought it was a really good game. That was a lot of fun. That I think it is on console now, right? I think they did make a console port at some point of that game.
I want to say yes.
Yeah, it's
I
like
know.
on the
I know.
60 or something.
Even if it's not on a major console, it's at least on Nintendo, and it's at least on on DS or somebody's made memory serves right. Somebody's made a game for the handheld. Maybe those aren't mobile. Maybe those are handheld, Patrick. Maybe that's the definition between the two. Who knows? But
Well, I mean, they
I
only
think-
break it into 3 categories: mobile games, console games, and PC games. So they're either considering it a console game or a mobile game, a console type thing.
Yeah. Again, I don't know how they determine the three. Just like you guys are kind of confused by that too. I am too. I would assume they consider it console because it is a dedicated device, right? Like a Switch or something is a dedicated device that's made. I mean, yeah, you can watch Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus on it, but its main purpose is video games, whereas
Yeah.
a phone's main purpose is making phone calls and text messaging. I mean, that's the main
Except
purpose
for-
of a phone call.
I was
or
gonna say,
a phone.
The majority of people probably don't use it as a phone, right?
Right, but that's the main purpose of a phone, right?
Right.
So
It's for text messaging, man. What are you talking about? It's for text messaging and pooping.
yes.
Do you guys consider the Switch a handheld or a mobile device?
I don't.
That's a
I
console.
mean,
I don't consider
Console
it,
or a mobile device? Excuse me.
I don't consider it a mobile device. I consider it a handheld and a console.
Yeah, I consider it a console as well. And I don't even. I mean, I know it could be a handheld game, but I don't play it as a handheld game.
No. Well, that's, if I take a road trip, that thing comes with us. Kids have a blast. It keeps kids occupied.
Right.
Especially now that you can do Netflix and all that crap on it. It's a bigger screen in their phone. But we also got like a teeny tiny TV that we use for just such things. So.
Right. Yeah, and I have an original Switch that docks, and then I also have a light. And the light is mine. I do use it. It's handheld only, so it doesn't dock.
Right.
And that was mine that I bought for myself because I bought the original Switch for myself, but I gave it to my daughter because she loved it so much. And then I bought just a light for myself, just to play, so I could just play some games. And I don't mind playing them handheld. To me, it doesn't feel like a mobile game, right? It feels like taking my console games, but just handheld version of it, where I can just, it's a smaller screen, yes, but it's still the full-fledged experience that I would get on a big screen. Whereas I feel like, if I'm playing a Nintendo Switch game, it's not going to try and nickel and dime me, maybe for DLC, right? Maybe Smash Brothers for the other combat characters, but it's not trying to nickel. I mean, the full-fledged game, even if you don't buy the other characters for like Smash Brothers, let's say in this example, you're still getting a great game regardless if you don't buy the other DLC characters, right? You don't need them. They're there if you want to purchase them, sure. Whereas I feel like mobile games, it's like, it almost feels like a detriment, right? I mean, because if you don't spend money in mobile games, I mean, some of those games, it'll take you years to get anywhere.
Well, and then all it takes is once you get to a point to where you're really good, is all it takes is for somebody to come in and spend $100 and trounce you in some of those versus mobile games.
Yeah,
Right,
we call
exactly.
that the EA effect.
Whereas in Smash
It's the
Brothers,
whale.
if they buy a DLC character, it doesn't mean that they're going to be like, overpowered. They just have a different character. You can still, if you're really good at Smash Brothers, you can still kick their butt. So
Right. Yeah, it's not a pay to win. Most console games and PC games, I would say, are not pay to win unless they're a derivative game from a mobile game, because a lot of mobile games are moving over to like consoles. I see so many games that were on mobile that have moved into the gaming sphere. I mean, I remember back in the day when that Zuma game came to 360. That was the
I love
game
that
with
game.
the shoot the balls
I
into the
played that
thing, and
game so much.
but that game was on 360, and I was like, what, But but that game they charged you. It was a paid for game for the 360, so there was no ads or anything in it when it
But
came out.
it was a cheap game for the 360, and
Oh
it was
yeah,
fun too. I
it
loved
was like a $15 game or something for the 360. It wasn't very expensive.
it wasn't very expensive. I
But-
remember I played the crap out of Zuma on the 360.
But you think about that. That game was just ported over to console. It didn't cost them anything to develop because they'd already developed it for mobile, and that's all their developmental costs was already paid for because all the people paid for the ads or paid for the extra balls or whatever they had to pay in the game on the mobile stuff. So I just don't want, because it does seem like games are going over to the cheaper side. And when I say cheaper side, I mean they're getting more mobile style, where it's just, I feel games are going that way. We're getting less and less fleshed
Quality?
out. Yeah, I would say so, because I mean, let's take this is a joke that's often made, but let's take Steam for example. I don't think Steam sells full games anymore. How often have you heard somebody say that? Because everything you find on Steam that's new is early access. I mean, the
That's
majority
true, but consoles are going that way as well, so you're definitely right.
Well,
But I mean-
yeah, Xbox has that, with their early access stuff.
what do they
too.
call it? The green light or whatever? I can't remember what they
Right,
call it.
yeah, whatever they call it.
That's Steam's like green light or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's getting to the point to where nobody puts out anything full anymore. It's either going to be a Kickstarter game or you can get early access to play this. And and a lot of it is because it's just easier for companies to make money on mobile games. When they say, hey, we can put out this crappy game, and if we get 100 people to play it for an hour, we just made $1,000 off ad revenue or something. It's like, why waste time if I can make $1,000 by getting people to look at this stupid ads for an hour?
Yeah, that's Nintendo created that though. That's called shovelware. It's just crap they throw at
We
people.
had plenty of that.
Well, but you still have to buy the shovelware. You don't have to buy these mobile games. It's just free. You just download it and
That's
you play this
true.
game.
It's
And
true.
you
I
watch
mean,
these ads.
That's one thing about mobile, that I don't think we've hit on yet, is a lot of these games are free, right? I mean, they are free to play, so you're not, as a consumer, you're not really, there's no obligation to purchase, and for most of them, most of the games that are on Google Play or Apple Store or whatever they call it, that are purchasable are the full-fledged experience, right? And there are a lot of single-player, not multiplayer, pay-to-win type titles, right? Whereas a lot of those pay-to-win type titles are free to play. So, I think that's what brings in a lot of consumers too, is because you can just download it for free. You can just grab it from the store, start playing, and then they get you down the line with saying, "Oh, well, you want to do this? Well, let me just throw $2 at us, and we'll let you do it."
Right.
And then people are like, "Oh, well, I like this game, so sure." And then then some other barrier comes up down the line. Well, you want to do that? Just another $2. That's all it takes, man. It's like it's
Before you know it, you're in it for $12.
Those snake oil salesmen, exactly. That type of thing.
Yeah.
So
$2 later, 5 days later, and I've already put $50.
$500.
you already spent like $50 on it, right?
You're like, how much did I spend on this? Well, I mean, it's just like anything in life. I mean, if you're not careful and you depend on how long you play it, I mean, because I can make the perfect example of WoW. I don't even want to think about how much I actually really spent on WoW. But during the early days and until I stopped playing, I paid $15 a month for 4 years straight. Not to mention how many times I paid for character transfers or race changes or any of that stuff. And those were like $15 to $20 a pop, sometimes 30. You could do it. They ran a special. You could transfer servers and change factions for like $30. And I did that I don't know how many times per character, just so we could play with friends. So I guarantee you I've spent hundreds of dollars on that game, if not closer to $1,000.
Oh yeah, I would agree for a while, and a lot of MMOs, but I don't know. It's kind of half and half of the MMOs, right? I mean, the character transfers and the server transfers and various things like that. I feel like those aren't, unlike mobile gaming, those aren't necessary. Those aren't exactly necessary needs, right?
Unless you want to play with your friends.
Right. there are services they provide, but unlike a mobile game, like some mobile games have roadblocks where it's like in order to progress, right, and
You have
progress
to do a chance
substantially,
pull.
you need to pay money.
Or you
Where,
play for exorbitant amount of time for chances to get these cards to.
right, and
You know,
the exorbitant amount of time is a lot of time.
Well, yeah, because I mean,
Yeah.
I could use the perfect example of Summoner's War, which is the one I'm really most familiar with on that type of stuff. That, and Pokemon Go, we can use that as well as an example. But like for Summoner's War, you progress through levels and you gain more materials to upgrade your characters and slot better stones and stuff in them so they can hit harder or their abilities proc more often, and upgrade them, by combining them together. And you have to hope to get these certain cards to pull a specific character to make your team complete so you can run these dungeons. And the only way to do it is just play every day and hope you get a chance to pull this card. If not, you can pay this money to get like pieces of this card so that you can build it quicker. And then you think like Pokemon Go. What was the biggest thing in Pokemon Go you had to spend money on? Pokeballs, because you always ran out and there wasn't enough Pokestops anywhere near you to get Pokeballs. So that's probably where
when
Russ
you lived in Atlanta, Texas. I mean,
that's what I was gonna say.
That's what I was going to reiterate a little earlier. Was like, part of the reason why I had to was because we had like 7 Pokestops, in a 5-mile radius, if that, and it wasn't like going downtown Springfield or something like that where there's one every 15 feet. So I mean, that was part of it, and I mean, we just enjoyed it a lot, and so. I mean, I mean, maybe I'm kidding myself a little bit by saying this, but I don't think I was duped with Pokemon. Like, not that I've ever been duped, but I feel that some mobile games go over the top in order to get some money from you. I don't think Pokemon necessarily did. I mean, if you found a place that had a lot of Pokestops, you didn't have to worry about Pokeballs because you get them everywhere. I mean, the only thing was like maybe some of the lures and stuff like that, but you didn't necessarily have to have those. So, I mean, we're kind of going
Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go caused another issue though. Pokemon Go was supposed to be walking around getting exercise, but you know what Pokemon Go spawned? Drive-by Pokestops, because that's what everybody I know did. If they weren't walking around downtown, they were circling downtown in their car hitting Pokestops. that probably costs. They probably spent so much more money in gas. They probably should have just bought Pokeballs.
Well, I think, unfortunately, mobile gaming is only going to get worse. It's going to get more. It's going to get more scammy. They're going to basically, sooner or later, you're going to have people on there. Hey, mom and dad, they don't need to know this stuff. Just go grab their card. This is how you put it in. It's all good.
Well, I think mobile gaming is slated to even get larger and larger this year. I think they're talking like a 6 to 9% increase in the market over 2029. Yeah. And so, I mean, that's a lot when you consider that console and PC gaming don't even make up 50% of the market. They make up 49% of the market. If they lose more of the market share, what's going to keep these companies like, I hate to say the name, but like EA spending money on their ancillary companies like BioWare and them to produce more games? If the market share starts to go less and less from console gaming and more towards mobile gaming, what is the incentive of companies like BioWare, PD Projekt Red, and all these other guys to spend tons in development if they can just spin off a mobile game and be like, you know what? Yeah. Here's my mobile game. Buy it for $5. And if we get 1 million people to buy it for $5, we just made $5 million, and we put no money into it.
No, that's true. I just don't.
What's that, Nick? Yeah.
So that's what Blizzard's doing.
Right. I mean, everybody's doing it. Fortnite does it. PUBG does it. They all have mobile games. And I think I had heard somewhere that like Fortnite's mobile gaming brings in more than the other consoles and stuff do.
I don't doubt that.
And if that's the case, why would companies want to invest in consoles and PCs, which is going to hurt our industry? We're going to get fewer and fewer big titles or good titles.
Games.
Yeah, because I mean, it's already kind of sort of happening, and I'm not, it's not really happening, but it is kind of with VR. I mean, we were all super excited for that Medal of Honor game. Turned out it was a VR game, and we're like, oh,
yeah.
Well, I'm not going to be able to play that because I have VR. I can't afford VR, But, mobile games are just getting bigger and bigger, and I don't know. I'm with everybody else. I don't like to play more action adventure RPG style games on my phone. They're out there. I don't like it. I will not play Diablo on my phone. I'm not going to play a MOBA game on my phone. I'm not going to play a battle royale game on my phone. It's just not what I'm playing. I'm playing like time waster things, doing time wasting activities. If I'm going to sit on the toilet, I'm going to be entertained while I'm sitting on the toilet with a mobile game. If I'm waiting to go into the doctor's office, I'm waiting with a mobile game. If I'm waiting for a meeting to start, I'm waiting with a mobile game just because I can't whip out my computer or my Xbox and play a game while I'm waiting for a meeting to start, That just doesn't.
Yeah, you could play your console games now on your phone, but the problem is I'm not going to lug around my controller and everything just so I can play while I've got a 15-minute wait at the doctor's office.
Well, some games. So you're talking about XCloud, and
XCloud or
you can
the
use
game
xCloud.
streaming service.
Now, XCloud mainly, you need for most games on there, you do need your console controller. But there are some games on xCloud that are categorized on there as being mobile-centric games where you can use a mobile controller. And of course, that controller takes over 90% of the interface, but they are doable. So I guess you could do them in that way, and you could also do. It's not xCloud, which is the what is it? What you were talking about, I think, which is the
game streaming.
Yeah, the streaming game. So you could stream to your, from your Xbox to your
phone.
Phone. If you wanted to.
I'm not sold on it.
You could do that. Go ahead.
So yeah, I think we're a little bit in the minority. I think we all play a little bit more mobile games than we probably let on that we do. Just because in talking to this group, it's like, oh, we're all not big mobile gamer fans, but we all have something that we waste time on that we come back to or go around to. And Shane probably didn't play Pokemon Go, but I bet he drove his kids around to play Pokemon Go.
Nope, little bastards can walk.
You lie. I guarantee you took them to the park or took them to somewhere so they can go sit some Pokestops.
Now, that part is almost true. I did not even know there was Pokemon at the park, and I told my boy, get your scooter thing you got for your birthday, and he's like, all right, I'm going to catch this thing first. What thing? It's Pokemon. Oh, okay. Whatever.
I drove my kid around so she could do it. I took her to the square around Springfield so she can do it because there's so many Pokestops around the square. I went to the square. Springfield had a huge event where the square was elbows to buttholes of people, and you couldn't walk around the square when they had the Pokemon event. I was like, I can't believe I came here. There was that many people.
I remember.
See, that's my problem. I don't think I could handle that. I think I would snap.
I didn't realize it was as popular as it was when I heard the event was coming to Springfield. I'm like, there'll probably be a decent amount of people. Hey, Pokemon Snap.
Hey, I played that one. I like Pokemon Snap.
But yeah, I think mobile gaming is just going to get larger. I hope that it doesn't take more than it's already done. I hope that it loses the lion's share of the market because I want console and PC gaming to get back up there, or else we're going to be in a world of hurt for games come 2 to 5 years from now. These game studios are going to be like, why am I wasting? Obviously, I will say that the gaming industry makes more money than movies and stuff like that do now. I mean, they're in the billions and billions of dollars, so there's still money to be made. It's not that dire of a situation, but if we get down to where PC and consoles are making 25% of the market share and mobile gaming are 75%, there's probably going to be some eyeballs looking around and they're going to be like, why are we doing this? Why are we spending all this money if we can just make these smaller, less development type games and throw all these microtransactions in here and make all this money? Why would we spend millions of dollars on a developing of a game and try to risk stuff? I mean, a perfect example is CD Projekt Red with Cyberpunk. They made a risk. They put out a game that was not quite finished, but they were very ambitious in what they did, and look what it got them. It got them tons of hate and a class action lawsuit. I mean, that's what the gaming world is coming into. Everybody, if you put out a bad game, everybody is extremely butthurt, and all they want to do is cry and whine, and then companies like CD Projekt Red pay for it. And, depending on what happens to this class action lawsuit, I don't know if it hurt them enough to put them out of business, but guess what? We lost a great game developer if something happened to them. Or if litigation takes so much money out of them that it takes away from development of games, we have screwed a company that has put out great games and will continue to put out great games. I have no, what's the word I'm looking for? I have no
Apprehension.
Apprehension. There we go. That they will fix Cyberpunk. I have no apprehension at all that they will do that.
I completely agree with you. I have no qualms that they're going to fix it. I know they're going to fix it. That's the type of company they are. The problem is they should have never released the game.
Well,
They
I mean, but they're ruled by
they
investors.
lied to the They lied to the players. They lied to the investors. That game was hidden on console.
That is true, but I think that they were being forced. The developers, the people behind the lines, were being forced to put something out.
Oh, I agree too.
That they didn't feel was ready. I think they probably if they would have been truthful with the investors and everything and said we need 6 months to a year to fix this.
Some made the decision.
Well, it was the higher ups,
Right, exactly.
The higher ups that made the decision. The developers, I don't think were there wanting to publish this game because they knew it was behind.
Right. But just to make my point is, it's all based on money. That's the reason that it was done this way. It was like we need to make money, which I don't get because they were being flushed with cash with the investors going. Everybody's loving what they're seeing. They're ready to get this game, and it's companies are going to take less and less risks because of stuff like this and because of mobile gaming, in my opinion, because mobile gaming is an easier target and easier to market to get into. You don't ever hear this cry or outcry of a bad mobile game. People may badmouth it if they see an ad on Facebook and it's not the real game, people badmouth it and they move on. They're not like, let's do a class action lawsuit against these guys, which I don't see how doesn't happen. That they're like, why people aren't suing these game companies for using other people's advertised games in their advertisements. There are so many mobile games out there that you're like, that's a ripoff of Age of Empires, or that's a ripoff of WoW, and you're like, how are they not getting sued?
Oh yeah, I've seen one mobile ad that was Age of Empires. I'm like, that's Age of Empires. Yep. And then you go to the comments and people are like, hey, that's Age of Empires.
Right, and you're like, that's not even that's not even this game. And so you're just like, you're looking at that going, how are these guys not getting sued? But yet you got a company like CD Projekt Red, who's the people who are developing it are like, it's not ready, but the people who make the decisions and want to get the money are like pushing it out. And so those people are ruining the company because, they forced out a game that wasn't ready to hit market, and the gaming industry people like lost their lid. They just completely lost their minds, and now investors are asking for a class action lawsuit, and it's all because the higher ups hid things, like you said, Shane, from even the investors, because that would be insider trading if they knew all this stuff was going on. So they hid all this stuff from them. But it's not necessarily, it's the leadership team of CD Projekt Red, not the development team and all that stuff. But mobile games don't have this risk. They can put out a crappy mobile game, and if it only reaches 1,000 people, and they only got like 5 minutes worth of ad time for each of those 1,000 people, so be it. They made more money than they pumped into the game at this point. So
I think you're going to see more games like Genshin Impact that came out on mobile and came out on consoles.
Yeah, but Genshin Impact is getting good reviews. Genshin Impact is not being called out for being garbage that's broke and just stealing money. Genshin Impact is at least as a mobile game goes, is an actual game, unlike the pull pins and crap.
But to Nick's credit, it's not what I would consider, in my opinion, Genshin Impact is a good game, but it's not what I consider a console game or a PC game to be.
No, I completely agree.
It's like a mixture. It's like a mixture of both genres or both platforms.
It feels like a mobile game, even when playing it on a console and stuff.
Exactly, and I think that kind of what you were talking about, not talking about CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk, but just talking about what you were talking about, Patrick, with the future, is that I think we'll see more games like Genshin Impact where they come to both, where the developer makes them for the same experience on both console and mobile, where you're going to see that same kind of. That's unfortunately where I see this whole thing going is that kind of mixture between the two.
Well, and it's already happening with loot boxes and stuff like that. I think that's the console PC answer to the garbage that they do on the mobile phones. I mean, honestly, I would rather see a damn commercial pop up in the bottom right hand corner, like one of the banners from the news, buy freaking Monster Energy drinks, play your game like a champ. I would almost rather see that than all the loot box crap.
Right.
Well, I mean, that even brings about the idea of them raising the price of games to $70, right? I mean,
Yeah, they can burn for that one.
Well, if they're going to do this, then yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, well, I mean, you think of what you talked about earlier, Patrick, with the gaming scene being the most lucrative business, in the past few years.
Yeah,
so
entertainment. It's like the highest grossing entertainment.
Right. So for entertainment, they're making the most money, and then they got to raise, EA and all these other, like, oh, we got to raise it to $70 because of development costs. That's like, well, bull crap about that, because from statistics and from information we know, you guys are making hand over fist for every game that comes out.
Oh, yeah.
So why do you need to raise it $10 more? You're raising it $10 more just to get more money, and that's the end all be all. It doesn't have anything to do with development costs or anything like that. You figure a new console space comes out, and so you can raise it. It's been long enough since it's been $60 that you can go ahead and raise it to $70, and no one will care.
Yeah. Well,
right. Until we start getting all these mobile style games that they're trying to charge $70 for, and I'll be like,
right,
no, I mean, it just goes to show you that I mean, something like mobile games can hurt our industry that we love. I mean, I don't honestly see that it taking over 100%, or I hope it doesn't even make 75%, because then I think it is going to hit a detriment to our favorite studios. Because, I mean, I don't know. And when you consider that, like, the gaming industry is like, what, 160 billion or something like that industry for entertainment, I think it's probably a little bit more by now. When you consider that to, like, movies and music, which are not even 50% of that, because I think the box office industry is in the 40s and the music business is only in the 20. It's not near that. Those can't even hold a candle to the gaming industry. But I just don't want to see something I love go down the toilet because mobile games are the most popular thing, and they're most popular because they're played by a lot of non-gamer people. Like the point that Nick made, when I thought about that, it actually made a lot of sense, because I know non-gaming people who play mobile games. When I consider non-gamers, like non-console or PC gamers, like all of my friends that don't play video games, I guarantee you they play some sort of mobile game, at some point. So they're contributing to that gaming industry, but they're not contributing to like the console or PC side. So they're driving the market. And I don't know. Maybe I don't know if there's a tipping point. I'm just speaking from what I see. I'm not an expert in any of this stuff by any means. I'm just seeing that, I see mobile games overtaking the console and PC gaming to the point to maybe it would be a detriment at a certain tipping point. And I don't know what that is, or if it's true or what, but I can see us shrinking in the number of studios that would be available to make games because of it. And at the end, you're going to end up with just conglomerate studios like EA and Microsoft and Sony, and maybe a few others out there that have been able, Interplay, whatever, the Blizzard Entertainment one that they own. They own Interplay or Activision. Activision is what they own.
Activision's their corporate company.
Yeah, exactly. Company. There you go, parent company. And so they own all the little games under there, and you're not going to see a lot of these smaller studios because they're just going to be like, why would I make Phantasmaphobia for the console, for the PC, when I could put it out on mobile gaming and make more money? You're not going to see a lot of indie mobile games because it's cheaper and quicker money. It's a quicker bang for your buck. That's why you have. I don't think you can log onto Facebook and be on there for 30 minutes without seeing an ad for some type of crappy mobile game.
Yeah, and I hope it doesn't get to that point. I hope it doesn't get to the point where, console gaming or PC gaming, either one, in general, becomes more of the minority, whereas mobile gaming becomes the majority, right? Whereas we have these, because you're going to still have those people that are going to bring out console games because they're older developers, or they're the ones that when we get to the point where it be considered console game is considered a classic, right? That's what I don't want. Is where those become, like, hey, we're gonna release this mobile game. Oh, that's a mobile or a console game. That's a classic. We don't have those anymore. We just have console gaming or mobile gaming. Where
Well,
those considered to be classic or this kind of a here and there type thing. And this is like you said, this is like way down in the future, but and it may not be in our lifetime, but in your scenario, it definitely could get there.
right. And I mean, this would be a bad year anyway because due to COVID, the entertainment industry outside of gaming took a huge hit. Movies and music and all that took a huge hit, while video games is pretty much COVID proof because if you're locked in a house all day with nothing to do, you can still video game. Video game does not require you to interact with anybody physically. You can interact socially through online gaming and stuff, but basically we have learned that video games are pandemic proof because if you're stuck in the house all day, what are you going to do? You're going to video game because that's what we do, and that's what everybody else
does. And they can develop a video game remotely, right? They don't have to be in the same office or on a movie
There are
set.
limitations to it, though, because there's a lot of mocapping and stuff like that.
But they're still doing mocapping because you can do mocapping. And
you can
keep it pretty safe, yeah.
Yeah, you can record mocapping and then and introduce it to a game. So, gaming, there is a lot of physical, having people into an area to do a certain scene or certain development. But unlike movies, especially, a lot of it can be done remotely. It's very hard to do a movie remotely because you have to have the film crew and the person with the boom mic and the camera and the director and all this makeup and everything all in one area to do the scene. Whereas gaming can be done remotely. It is more difficult from what we've heard from the gaming community or from the gaming developers, but it still can be done. So, and music is probably the same sense, right? Music, you in general, you can have the band there and then someone just recording it. So, it could probably be done a little bit more remotely than movies, especially.
Yeah.
Right, except if you want to make a music video, and then you're needing a bit all the time. But yeah, I mean, this year is probably going to skew the numbers huge for games because they're just basically, you're stuck in a house all day. If you work, a lot of people lost their jobs because of COVID, and so while those people are sitting at home trying to find a job in a market that's not the best, they're going to sit there and they're going to play those free mobile games, which is basically going to skew the numbers towards mobile gaming revenue because. Remember, even if you don't pay for the game, you're still contributing to those companies by watching the ads that their games kick off because every so many seconds of game ad time that you watch is money in their pocket.
Oh yeah. But what do most people do? Mute, look away, glance, and wait for it to come back onto the game.
Or no, they're watching the ad, waiting for the X to pop up so they can close it out, but you're still getting screen time. And that's all that matters to those people. I mean, I think I read an article not too long ago that like the publisher for Fortnite Epic Games basically was spending $2 million a day on digital ads earlier this year. They could spend $2 million a day for digital ads. How much money they have to be raking in to be able to afford to spend that much money? $2 million, because it was basically saying in March, April, and May, I think is what it was what the article that I'd read some time ago this year, that they're spending $2 million a day on digital ads. How much do you have to be making a day to be fine with spending $2 million a day?
Well, you got to remember though, it's Fortnite, so Jesus, I couldn't imagine how much that game makes. I really couldn't. I mean, the YouTubers that do the videos of gameplay for Fortnite are making mills.
Well, how much do you think it costs to run an ad on Facebook for a game? I mean, I don't know what it costs. I mean, I know that it costs like, when we looked at monetizing on Facebook and stuff like that, it wasn't cheap. You had to pay per number of views. Basically, you paid per how many people can see, how many people that your ad would reach, and then you pay if you want it targeted. So if you want your ad targeted, if we want our ad targeted to gamers, which is what our industry is, we haven't done any of this because we do this for fun. Maybe in the future, if we get big enough, we might. But we didn't do that. But when we looked into it, it was like $5 got you like nothing. It would get you an hour's worth of an ad time on their site. So I cannot imagine, and it would only get you like reaching 100 people or something like that. So, I think we all see the same game ads every day. Those guys got to be, so this may be like combined, but maybe it's 2 million a day combined from like the largest game producers, which is like Epic and then like Playrix and stuff like that. But $2 million a day on digital ads for games is insane. But they have to be bringing in so much. I imagine, what do you think they're probably bringing in? $10 million a day to be able to spend, because that's 20% of their income on ads. Do you think that maybe it's more? I don't know I'm not a marketing person. I'm not a business person. I don't know what is considered safe amount. Does anybody know, Russ? And you know anything about what's considered safe marketing budget?
Not really a safe marketing budget. Depends on, like you said, what your target is. I mean, what's your ROI within the investment? I mean, for example, I can only look at my career, and what I do is $500 for 1 month worth of advertising worth filling a position that I have open, when maybe there's a cheaper or a less expensive way to do that. I mean, is $500 a lot of money for a month? I mean, I would say for a single position, I think so. I mean, but if it was 4 or 5 positions and, I filled all those in that 5, maybe that's a little bit different. But it just depends on what your ROI is with it. I mean, I think in our case, the fact that we're doing things for fun, we're doing that. I don't think that return of investment's there yet. But if there's a need in that market, or if there's a need in that industry, or whatever the case is, then it just depends on what that ROI is going to be.
Right. So, I mean, I guess if we take $169 billion, which is what they were estimating that the gaming market was going to bring in this year, and we took 51% of it, I wonder what that is. Can't do quick math like that, but 169 billion, basically divided, minus 49%. That's what they have basically made the mobile gaming market. So what is that?
I don't know, but I'll take it.
It's $86 billion. So divide that by $365, and then that's basically what they're making a day. They don't make money by the day, but that's, I don't know. It's $86 billion. It's just hard to comprehend for somebody like me, And
for what we think that they pay in marketing or something like that, I mean, they probably pay 1/10 of that in marketing. I mean, just because of the accessibility to the information anyway, the partnerships that they make within it all. So, like, that's a lot of things that we don't see within this, like IGN and stuff like that. Like, there's partnerships within some of that stuff where they do things for free or very low cost that they're not spending. That is just like, we really can't even comprehend it. It's
Well, I don't know what half of that is I want it.
Well, yeah, I would take even 1 billion. I would take $1 million. I'm not that greedy. Just give me $1 million. I could pay off everything I own and live pretty comfortably. Keep working.
Dang, Skippy. Hell, you could live off the dang interest.
I don't know about that. I mean, but
I can live poor, buddy. I've done it all my life
too. But I mean, I would need more than that, because I wouldn't be able to retire on that. I'd be broke just by paying my normal bills after about 10 years.
I would leave the country, one of those nice, cheap places, where $1 gets you a car.
And then, you lose your liver and everything because they're like, look at that rich gringo.
I'm okay with it. I don't need it.
But yeah, so I mean, I do think that mobile gaming is, I don't know, it's not as big of a smudge on the gaming industry as it that I'm portraying it to be, but I don't think it's a healthy thing for the gaming market. It's healthy for investors because they're making money hand over fist, but I think as the gaming industry as a whole, I think it does a little bit more harm than good because they have really bad business practices. They put out shoddy stuff. They have questionable tactics for luring people in. And we often hear news stories and articles about a kid getting access to, using a parent's phone or whatever and spending thousands of dollars on a game because they were just like, I can't go any further unless I do this. And it lets me do this because it's hooked to their parents' credit card or they stole their parents' credit card to buy points in the game or something, I mean.
There should be, and they need to do something, legislated or something, a required approval. Like, okay, so you go into, say, the phone app, you click, buy me $5 of this. By the time you hit $20, I think you should get a damned email stating, hey, are you really spending all this money? And they should stop it right there. Now, if you reply back to the email and say, yeah, I'm an idiot and I'm spending $2,000 on this damn thing today, then that's one thing. But they should stop it after like $20 and ask for a validation.
Yeah. I mean, at some point, it has to stop. But I mean, there's already laws in the U.S. on online gambling and stuff. And this stuff is basically, it's not really gambling. You're not risking your money. You're just giving it away. So, there's no chance you're going to get it back.
Yeah, but it's still an addiction, and that's a problem. For some reason, mobile gaming has a higher addiction rates. When we were doing our gaming addiction, the next day somebody brought that to my attention.
Yeah, I mean, they do have a high addiction rate because it's so accessible. That's what, and you don't really, and I will say in this day and age, mobile gaming are I should say, the addiction is probably not as easily noticed in the beginning in this day and age because when you think about it, let's think about money and the money you spend in mobile games. How many of you guys physically hold money in your hand anymore?
I still use cash. And honestly, I do not like to use cards. I think credit cards, debit cards, things like that, I think they're detrimental.
But you're our grandpa, so we already know that.
That is true. That's true. I'm still using doubloons.
Right. Yeah. Like, Nick, how often do you put cash in your hand?
I hardly ever have cash.
Right. Me too. Russ? I mean, how often
I've got like the same $20 in like a 5 and 3 ones and a 10, I think, in my bucket.
Yeah, that squirrel hole money.
Yeah,
right.
Like I think I've had that for like 2 years, but
so
I'm trying to think the last time I have cash. I can't remember.
But really, all that just to say is that in some people's eyes, in some way that some people see it, is it's just bits in the bucket. You're like, okay, I have a bank account, and it says I have $500 in it. This game wants $2 from me so I can do this. Okay, that's $2. And they do that 10 times without realizing it, that they just spent, $20. They didn't realize it.
But I can monitor cash a hell of a lot easier.
That's what I was going to say.
A card.
It's a lot when you're phically holding something and you give somebody $2 and you can say, oh, I got $18 back, $18 in my hand still. And then you go spend $2 more, and you're like, I got $16, and I need $5. You're like, oh, I got $11 left in my hand. They don't see that. People don't see that anymore. They just see, I need 2 bits from the bucket of 500 bits, or 3 bits, because it's not physical anymore. It's all numbers being moved around digitally. So don't see it. I mean, I see how much I get paid every paycheck, but it's all bits in the bucket. It's like, it's not physical. It doesn't mean anything. It's like, I need. We're almost in a credit society anymore, and what I mean by credit, like Star Wars credits. I need 10 credits to buy this. I need 15 credits to have my subscription renew. At this point, it's all bits in a bucket, so it doesn't seem real to some people. So they don't have a problem spending 20 bits out of their 500 bucket. They're like, oh, I got 480 bits. They don't even see that. They're just like, I had 500 bits and I spent 20. I'm okay. And I think that does actually lend to making it easier to spend on these digital things because you actually don't get anything. The same thing can be said for video games. I own a copy of the video game, but I really don't have anything besides ownership of it. And my parents probably said the same thing when I was younger about he just spent $50 on a video game, something digital. What has he got to show for that? There's nothing physical, that ownership. So in this day and age, digital purchases are probably really dangerous the way that people think and handle money anymore, because money's not actually handled. You're not writing in a check register every month, you know. And I guarantee you most people don't even have a check register, or anybody under the age of 30 probably. Some people are like, what is a check register? So I think it's a dangerous thing, but you know, maybe it'll get to the point to where Congress will legislate it. Maybe they won't, because it is a free market. People are allowed to spend their money, but I think it's too easy to abuse spending money in a mobile game. Because my mobile phone is tied to my Google Wallet and stuff like that, and all I have to do to make a purchase is either punch in a PIN number or let it scan my eyes, because I have the iris part set up, or the thumbprint or fingerprint, any one of those things. And if my kid was devious, which she's not, I could be napping on the couch and she'd be like, I need some money on this thing. Let me just have it scan daddy's finger, you know, or have it scan his face.
Yeah, I got mine set to rectal, so nobody does it.
Shane has to sit on his phone. He has to keister it. So cool. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of it, man.
And the veins got to be popping the right way.
He's got to be just perfectly excited.
Hashtag that one.
So, anybody else got anything else they want to add on this? I mean, I think we've kind of, you know, stated a lot of points, and some valid, some may not to others, but we're not big fans of it. I think it could go away, and most of us probably wouldn't even bat an eye if the mobile gaming market went away.
I don't think it should go away. I just think they need to fix it. I think they need more regulation.
Shane, you can read the back of the aerosol can. You don't need your phone for the bathroom.
I think it should go away. I hope it goes away. I probably won't go away. I don't want anything to do with the mobile gaming market. No, granted, I do play mobile games from time to time, but, you know.
You wouldn't shed a tear if they disappeared.
I wouldn't shed it. Yeah, exactly. If they went away, I wouldn't care less. So if it could go away, that'd be best.
Russ?
Yeah, pretty much almost the same way than Nick. I mean, I know that I'm not like, you know, I'm not yelling that I'm vegan and while I'm eating meat. I mean, I get it. You know, I'm not a big fan of mobile games. However, I have, you know, fallen to the trend from time to time. But if they were gone tomorrow, it's not going to affect my main life in gaming with PCs or consoles. I don't think there's quite a dire look at the gaming industry as maybe was talked about before. But, you know, mobile will be around. I mean, the smarter the phones get, the more that stuff will come out, but hopefully, you know, things will change in the future. But I'll continue to do my number 2 and play my 1942. There you go.
Just don't ever ask to borrow anybody's phone, because everybody's phone has been in the bathroom.
If there's anything that comes out of this podcast,
right?
He's going to do his number 2 and play with his number 1.
Yep.
Cool.
Either
Anyway,
way, just keep the black lights away from your phone.
Yeah, don't lend out your phones. We all know that it's been in the bathroom. I don't ask. So don't. Good thing it's not like it was when we were younger, when you had to go over to a neighbor's. Can I borrow your phone? Can I use your phone? When we were kids, and now it's like I don't think I would ever ask to use anybody's phone unless I'm dying or it's an emergency. I'll be like, can you call this for me?
Don't put a black light under that thing.
Right. Yeah. So cool. Anybody else got anything else they want to add to this episode?
No, sir. I believe all our hatred has pretty much come out.
All right. Well, we appreciate everybody listening to this episode and listening to us rant about mobile gaming. We hope to catch you in the next episode.